Okay, what's going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Today we have a very special guest on the show.
We have Bellator and the inventor of the 135-pound Bellator Grand Prix, Brian Pikeman Moore. Brian, how are you getting on?
What's happening, lads? I'm doing well. How are things?
Great. How are you getting on?
Yeah, all good. Enjoying life, you know what I mean? It's just, we're all been thrown a bit of a curveball, but it's how you deal with it, I suppose.
Is that bag down in your place getting a few more licks now, is it?
Oh, stop. I'm running out of bags.
Brian, just to start things off, tell us how you got into MMA.
Jeez, yeah, I'll be honest with you. I always played sports, played team sports since I was 5 and did quite well. I was a county player with for hurling and football, but I kind of just stopped losing interest in it. And I was in college studying. I was about 21 or 2, and who did I see? I seen a UFC, but I think it was GSP and Matt Serra, and it was also Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, and it was and it was a highlight show. But when I seen it, I was like, "What is this?" And then the more I looked into it, I was like, okay, I can't just be an observer. I need to get into this, even though I hadn't done a day's martial arts in my life, really. Yeah. So I was in the middle of studying for my final exams and doing my thesis, and I joined a Muay Thai club in the evenings, and I fell in love with it. I dropped 15 years of GEA and soccer and team sports. I just dropped it all to just pursue this, and it was in the middle of a recession. So basically, my time was spent working in a bar, but during the day, it was me training, practicing by myself on a bag, reading martial arts, tutorials and looking things up on YouTube and just practicing. And I just fell madly in love with it. And I still am today.
Yeah, Brian. For a lot of people that don't know, like you were a part of the first wave of Irish MMA when obviously when SBG blew up, and you were part of the team. What age were you when you actually joined the SBG, and what was it like being part of that movement?
I think I started MMA at 21 and amateur. So basically from my first day of training, I was 21, 22, and within a year I had my first pro fight, and I fought 3 times in that year or a few months. And then joined SBG. I was training 3 times a week in a place in Wexford, and the standard wasn't very good. You know what I mean? It was just a few guys that were just trying to figure it all out between us. And I had an amateur fight, and with that, the show that was the club that we're putting on were guys called Kilkenny Top Pro. So I travelled up and down to Kilkenny. And one of the guys that were there were training in SBG, so I got that link. And when I went to SBG, I was like, right, this is my last gym I'll ever go to. This was unbelievable. And I clicked with John, and I've been there ever since. You know what I mean? But it was quite a quick progression from the time that I first seen MMA to my first pro fight. It was very quick in a flash. But I put everything into it like I do now. So I think that's why. But with the first wave, I suppose I was in that. But I took 2 years out, so it was right as Conor got into the UFC and the guys did. I was there for the first fight Conor had against Marcus Brimage. I actually helped spar him with that. There's kind of a good story I'll tell you in a sec about that. Yeah. But kind of soon after, I had to take time from the sport. I started a gym. You know what I mean? It was we started a family, so it's something that I think was a really big turning point in my life as well. And career, because I came back much better. You know what I mean? From the 2 years off, I could recognize a lot of the mistakes I was making as a person, as an athlete. I came back far better.
Yeah. What was that story you were going to tell us anyway?
I think it's a kind of a cool story about what kind of a guy Conor is. I was fighting a guy, Stephen Call, back in the day. It was at lightweight, and me and Conor, we met in the gym for sparring, and we done 5 fights. But he walked in and he told me the news that he got signed by the UFC, and it was such enormous news because none of us had got into a big show. And man, I just put my arms around him and gave him a big hug. And because he was in the UFC, that was the big thing. But my fight was closer to his. He done those 5 rounds orthodox for me, so I would be better prepared for that fight. You know what I mean? All all help should have been put towards him, all guidance, all whatever. But he was able to help me out, even though he had just been signed. So I just think that's a very cool, a story about what kind of a guy Conor is,
And Brian, one question I have to ask you, just because I'm a massive GSP fan, and like he actually got me into it as well. And here you say his name. Was it UFC 69 or was it UFC 83 against Matt Serra? Did he win or did he lose?
You want to hear something? This is funny, okay? Because I'm like 5'7", 5'8", like I'm short, right? So
yeah.
When I seen Tito and Chuck Liddell, I was like, I have to do this. But these guys are fucking huge. Like, I don't know what size they were. They were just massive. And, like, I didn't know about weight classes or anything. And the next one I seen Matt Serra knock out, like, this chiseled fucking athlete of GSP. And even though I knew nothing about the sport, I was like, if he can do that, I can do that. Because I could see he was sloppy, but he still done it. But then, obviously, I looked at it. Like, I've looked at all GSP's fights, like, multiple times. I love the way he thinks more than the way he actually fights. I just think he's one of the greatest of all time. You know what I mean? But it was when he lost against Matt Serra. But I love all his fights. Like the Hughes fights were amazing too.
Hasn't lost since though. Hasn't lost since. In my opinion, the GOAT. Who do you think is the GOAT?
You know what? Like I know he's my teammate, but I think Conor. It's hard to argue. 2-time world, first time ever to do it, to hold 2 consecutive belts. I do love Anderson and what he did, but I love GSP. I always have looked up to him, the way he thinks, his mindset. I was often not put down, but I was trying to kind of people tried to kind of move my mindset, the way I think about training, the way I think about sport. They were saying I was a bit too obsessive with certain aspects of it. But when I didn't do that, when I tried to be a bit more flowy with things, I became a worse fighter. The way he approaches it, he's almost OCD. I'm very much kind of like that too. And since I went back to that way, I've been much better as a fighter.
I think he's like the consummate professional, George St. Pierre, in fairness to him.
Yeah, absolutely. He ticks all those boxes. You know what I mean? He does everything. You know what I mean? Whether it's working with high level, training partners, the way he puts his time into recovery modules, even the gymnastic work he does, I just think he tries to tick as many boxes as he can. But on top of it, he's an amazing martial artist, which is what it's all about. Like we're all mixed martial arts fans,
Yeah. Do you think he'll actually ever come back?
I'd like to see him come back. There's a lot of people that are retired that I wouldn't like to see come back because I think, I look at, like, let's say, Sugar Ray Robinson. Like, it's so heartbreaking when you see that guy came back, just good professionals that had to go back to, keep the tax man happy, etc. I don't think GSP will have that, but I think that he could come back and be like just as successful. I think he's just an amazing athlete.
In fairness, his last performance was one of his better performances against Bisping. You know what I mean? Like he basically knocked him out and then choked him out all in the one go. You know what I mean? Moving up weight class.
It was crazy because who's done that to Bisping? Bisping has got in there with such good guys, and he's won and lost, but he's always looked good. Maybe not against Gastelum because I think he took damage in the fight previous and was very short notice. But GSP just shut him down, and you don't do that to someone like Bisping. And
I would actually fancy GSP to be able to beat Adesanya if he came back at 185, because I think he'd be able to take him down and hold him down there, and Adesanya wouldn't be able to do anything about it.
I think so too. I think Adesanya has such phenomenal striking. He's so flowy in there, but everything he does is very much well thought out. Like if you look at the way he breaks the fighter down, he's excellent. Against I can't think of the guy's name. He fought another southpaw fighter, quite explosive. I can't remember, but he just
Derek Brunson.
Yes, yeah, that knockout, like
the
way he was setting up with that outside leg kick, and then he brought it up over the top. And he was in total control. But I think GSP is that way, like as a mixed martial artist. You know what I mean?
I think the GSP had Raymond Daniels in his camp very, very often, so he'd be used to that sort of high-level kickboxer in his camp. So
yeah, Raymond is a cool guy. We fought on the same show 3 times now, and every time that I fought on the same show as him, we both won. So the last time we were speaking, we said we're gonna put it into our contracts that we're not fighting unless we're on the same card. You know what I mean? That way we can't lose.
Get him on Bellator Dublin, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Brian, obviously, like the last while, the last few years in Irish MMA has exploded. You even have your own gym now as well. Like, could you even envision what was about to become with all this exploding? Really?
Not really, but
was there even a feeling in SBG being like something's going to happen here?
Like it's happened in stages. So the guys getting into the UFC, you know, you have like obviously you have Conor, you have Ashling, you have Cahill, you've got the guys that got in, and that was a massive surge and a massive wave. And now, you know, we've got so many guys with Bellator, but even the early days in Bellator, we didn't know what was going on. Like I took the AJ McKee fight when basically I was meant to fight a Portuguese guy. I don't know I can't remember his name, and I had I pretty much pulled out of the fight. My wife was extremely sick. You know, it was tough going. And I pulled out of this fight pretty much. And then I found out then that there was no main event. So instead of pulling out, then I changed that phone call to saying that I'd fight AJ for that. And the reason being is obviously I wanted to get signed with Bellator, but I thought that would be a great thing for Irish MMA too.
Yeah.
I thought that if we could impress, that if we could put on a show, that they would come back again and again and again. And that was one of the reasons. But like, I'm not surprised because of the talent that is in our country, not just in SBG, but like we have fantastic fighters, and I think we put it up to the best in the world. I think, you know, the next few years again we'll be producing world champions, you know, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm hopefully looking forward to being one of those world champions.
Yeah.
We were actually at that AJ McKee fight. Yeah, Barry said the same thing. We were at that, and we actually both thought you were winning the first 2 rounds as well. You know what I mean? It was a very impressive performance, and especially to see what AJ McKee's come on and done now. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are tipping him to be the favourite to win that Bellator featherweight Grand Prix. Obviously, we've had Pedro on, and he thinks differently. But what's your take on the featherweight landscape? Because you've been a featherweight for the majority of your Bellator career. I see you're looking to drop down to 135 and have a Grand Prix there. But how do you see the featherweight landscape?
I think it's a fantastic idea and a format, having the Grand Prix. But you know, Pedro is phenomenal, lads, and he has that mindset very similar to the Connor's, that unbreakable, massive confidence. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, like I would put backing him. Pitbull, I don't like him from a personal standpoint, but you gotta admire what the guy has done. He's got a fantastic style. He's has a very high fight IQ. AJ is a very explosive athlete. He's more of an athlete, I find, than a fighter. And when I fought him, I didn't fight him at my potential because I was just, you know, like I said, I was sick myself. But one of the main reasons, if you look at all his last few fights, people in MMA, they don't know how to fight southpaws correctly. They think they fight southpaws the same way as they do orthodox, and it's not. Foot position is massive. You know, how like the shot selection is huge. People are just fighting orthodox and southpaws the same, and I think AJ's having his way with that range as well. But that's why I'd be so confident of hammering him if we did go again. That being said, I don't know. Like, that Caldwell fight is a good fight with AJ. I think he will get past Caldwell on size and his athleticism. And I think you know, you've got another good matchup with Vichel and Sanchez. I think Sanchez will probably win that one. And I think the winner between Pedro and Pitbull goes on to win the whole thing, if I'm 100% honest.
Where do you think you're best? What's your best division? Like, would it be 135 or 145? For
myself?
Yeah.
I'd say 135. I always felt good at 145, but like I would be strong. I'd be a strong guy. I've never came out of a fight and felt like, God, they were stronger than me. But when I fought Lahat and when I broke my 2 hands, the biggest problem was getting that guy off of me. His weight was just fucking crazy. Like, and obviously I had 2 broken hands. It was hard to get up anyway, but I remember, like, he missed weight by 2.5 pounds. I was on weight like the day before easily. And, you know, you get weighed the day of the fight as well. Like, I was, 71 or 2 kilos? I can't remember. I can't remember what he was, but he was exponentially larger than me. You know what I mean? The weight difference was enormous. Like, when I fought at bantamweight the last time, I weighed in at 61.5 or something like that. I can't remember. 61.8, I think was the limit. But I was like back up to 70 point something the next day. Do you know what I mean? Back to the same weight. And I don't like cutting that much weight, but I do like having a level playing field. And I felt like I had to, didn't necessarily have to, but my advantage was to do that. You know what I mean? To become a world champion, I have to do these things.
Yeah.
And tell us about this Bellator Bantamweight Grand Prix that you've been campaigning for. It would also probably crown the Bellator Bantamweight champion because Haraguchi's dropped the belt. Who would you put in that Bantamweight Grand Prix? And sort of, if you take yourself out of it, who are the top 4 Bellator Bantamweights that are in with a shout looking at it?
Well, just go back a step. I think the Bellator Grand Prix makes perfect sense to crown a champion. Plus, now we have the depth. If you took even 2 years ago, I remember in Budapest watching Dantas and Higo fight for a belt. It was shite. It was terrible. They didn't go through it. They were like, Higo didn't even make weight. You know what I mean? And I thought it was just such a shame. Now we have the depth. Now you have 16 guys there without a doubt. But you have, like, if you want top 5, you've got myself, 100%. You've got Juan Arcoleta. You've got Patchy Mix. James is there. I don't know how that would work out with myself and James. We'll have to have a discussion about that. But you know, there's a lot of good guys there. You know what I mean? Sean Bunch is there. Higo himself. Dantas is there. You've got a lot of good guys.
Ricky Bandejas.
Bandejas, Jesus, yes. Well, let's see how he gets on in October first. Maybe he won't fight again after that.
You know who's a sort of a strange one there? Keith Lee would almost be in there, just because he's like Kevin Lee's brother, so therefore like people are actually just interested in seeing him fight.
Well, on top of that, he beat Sean Bunch. That's the guy I was trying to think of his name. He beat Bunch last, and he looked fairly impressive in doing so. So, you know, what I mean, that's a fight I'd like as well. And
if you could talk Haraguchi into it as well, that'd be brilliant.
You forgot to mention Sergio Pettis as well.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's easy to come up with 16 names right now.
You know what? I think people love the brackets. I think people, like, as from a visual standpoint, they like seeing the brackets. And you know what I love? You know, the featherweight Grand Prix. You know, when they all came out and then like they got to pick where they drew their names out of a hat or whatever, and then they got to pick what month they were fighting in or who they were fighting against. And then at the time, obviously, people got like Champions Choice. I think that's like a brilliant element to it. It sort of, you know, it sort of bigs up the fights because like you choose who you fight yourself.
Well, let's be honest, right? It was deadly. Like, a lot of people loved it, but let's be honest, the bantamweight division one of the reasons I was sort of looking to go down is because it's, let's be honest, it's boring as fuck. Many of them are. The division has got deeper, to be fair, in the last couple of years, and now it seems to be exciting again. So this format would even propel that excitement for fans. A lot, you know, we have the lightweight division is good. You've got the likes of Chandler and Henderson. Now the featherweight division has that Grand Prix. I think now is the time for the bantamweight division as well. You're going to crown a champion. You're going to make it more exciting. It has the depth right now. It gets fans, you know, attached to the names in the bantamweight division too, because the talent is there finally.
Yeah, Brian, just from covering your fights for the last while as well, we actually, like, I think Ross would agree, it looked like Bellator were actually giving you a good push. And then obviously when in the lower half fight he missed weight, you then end up breaking 2 of your hands. Like, if you look at that now, you're just sort of like, oh, I shouldn't have taken that, or, you know what I mean? Or what's your thoughts looking back on that?
No, because I know what I'm made of, you know, and I can look back at the fights that I've had and I've won. I look back at them with fond memories. But funnily enough, I look back at the times where, you know, I was in some fucking dingy Oklahoma hospital with lightning outside with 2 hands in casts. I'll look back at that and I'll be proud of myself because I know most men would have stopped in there. You know what I mean? Like, people say, you probably didn't feel it.
That's the thing, yeah.
Yeah. Like, people say, you don't feel things in fights. I felt every part of that. You know what I mean? It was extremely sore with all that kind of stuff, but it was challenging mentally to get through that.
Yeah, what went through your mind? What went through your mind when you're like, oh shit?
My kids, you know what I mean? My kids and my wife, you know, and that's to be perfectly honest, you know what I mean? My dad told me when I was a young man not to ever give up, you know, and I've always carried that, and I wasn't ever going to give up, you know what I mean? He could have brought me. I don't know. Maybe that's stupid. Like, a lot of people would disagree with that or whatnot. Like, and perhaps if I had stopped, you know, after I broke the second hand, I would have had more fights between now and then. It's just that the fact that when I broke my thumb, I kept hitting with that left hand because the right I couldn't make a fist with. And it just shattered. So I ended up with 7 breaks in it. You know what I mean? So, you know, maybe if I'd stopped, whatever, but I wouldn't have ever lived with myself. I probably wouldn't have never went back fighting if I'd quit.
I don't even know what to say to that, man. To be honest, you are a legend, man.
Yeah, like I've never been in that position, but like I always look at you and just think like that fella can dig deep. You know what I mean? And a lot of people you'd see they have their will broken. You know what I mean? But like I just feel like you're not one of those. You know what I mean? Like you have a bit of a never die attitude, and obviously you said that was instilled from your father, and it really shows in your entire fighting career. So fair play.
Yeah, that's why we like. That's why we like following. That's like we like following it. It's funny. It's funny how the internet works. Like you follow each other on Instagram, you get to know, and then like you almost feel like not. There's a connection there. You're just like you want them to do well. You know.
I appreciate it. Well, look at it. You guys are both Irish. You know what I mean? You won't be the proud Irishman either. On top of that, like every time I go in there, you know, I'm doing it for everyone. You know what I mean? Everyone that's on this island as well. Like so, you know, that's why going back to that McGee fight, where it was so important that I took that. You know what I mean? That I wanted Bellator to come back more and more and more to this. I mean, for not just me and my teammates, but for there's a lot of Irish MMA fans there, and we all deserve this. You know.
Yeah, Brian,
were you trying to get on that London card in May? Was that your goal?
Yeah, I won't say who I was signed to fight because it's not up to me. But I was signed, and we were preparing for California in May, the end of May, 29th of May. Obviously, that's been postponed. I don't know whether that fight gets postponed. To be honest, I don't know when we're even going to come out of this. But what I am hoping for is October against Ricky Bandejas. Anyway. You know what I mean? Whether I have a fight in the meantime, whether that is my next fight, we put Tufts have built that. I think it makes a perfect co-main event for Dublin, and who the hell doesn't want to see that?
Yeah.
Would it not be really sexy if they launched the Bellator Bantamweight Grand Prix and did it over 2 nights, and you could actually make James versus Cal Elner in Dublin, you versus Bandejas, and that's like the start of the bracket, if you know what I mean. And then you could do like maybe an American card the night before, because like people are going to be chomping at the bit to get fights going. So you could almost have the bracket pre-done and have like October as the start date.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of promotions might be pressurized into doing 2 cards back to back on the same weekend as it is to have their roster active, because we're missing months with this virus. You know what I mean? So that would make a great idea. You know what I mean? Even if you could do a London and Dublin card back to back on different nights. Like, you know what I mean? They've done that with other cards. You know what I mean? You've had Oklahoma and Italy, whatnot.
Yeah, they do it a lot. Yeah,
the same weekends. I think it'd be pretty cool. It'd be deadly, but like it'd be great to. I want to see these big fights and these big events in Dublin now, because we've sold out arenas there. We've done that. So now it's time for title fights to come. Now it's time for Grand Prix to take place.
We obviously have Pedro on, right? And we were sort of looking up at like when's the fight going to be rebooked. But would not be so perfect to have like the Pitbull Bros versus Pedro and Peter Queally, you versus Ricky Bandejas, and then James versus Cal Elner, all on the Dublin card, and make it like one of the biggest Dublin cards of all time.
Be insane. Maybe they want to spread that out. That's probably too much excitement for one night. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but like we've had to wait so long. Like everyone's gonna have to fight at some stage. You know what I mean? And then and Liam McCourt can fight Harding on the same card as well.
Yeah, that was a fight I was looking forward to. That was a good step up. Harding is a good fighter. You know what I mean? I was really looking forward. I think Leah has looked really good in her last couple of fights. I think that I was looking forward to that. But you know, there's just so many guys that are on the scene right now that are ready to pounce. You know what I mean? And I think of all the venues, all the fans, I think the Irish and the Tree Arena in Dublin deserve the biggest cards, the biggest shows, the biggest showcases. Like, if they don't do a world title fight, I think that'd be a great one for Pedro and Pitbull right there. But if they don't do a world title fight, I think they should put on. Like I said, the early stages of the Grand Prix will be amazing there. You know, I do think the main event has been announced, hasn't it? That's for Dublin. I thought I was looking breaking it there for a second, but I think the Queally Pitbull is a great main event. You know what I mean? And I think
I just like the animosity there. Like, that's years building. The Pitbull Bros versus SBG, like that's years building the animosity there.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's real animosity too. When you know you've got two excellent camps. You know what I mean? We can sit here and give out about the Pitbull brothers and call them this, that, and the other. But let's be honest, they're excellent fighters, especially Patricio. He's done amazing things. I loved how, like, the way he knocked out Chandler was amazing. Everybody thinks that, look, it was just an overhand right, but if you look carefully, he drops his right and he baits that jab in, goes over the top, very much like a Lomachenko move. So, like, you have to respect his skill set. He might be a dickhead or whatever, but he is skilled.
Yeah, Brian, if I'm correct, your next fight is actually your 20th professional fight. Is that right?
Yeah.
Would it bother you fighting if they didn't have fans in the arena? Because, like, who knows when, like, mass amount of fans are going to go to an arena?
Yes and no. Like, I got into this sport as a fan, and that's one of the reasons why I try to make my style as exciting as I can. Like, I was only thinking about my last fight, but in general, should I say, I try to make it as exciting as I can. But then again, like, I've a house, a kid, a mortgage. I want to get paid. I want to get back in there. I want to, I have goals to become the world champion, 135 pounds. And whether I have to do it in front of an empty arena or a full arena, I want to do it. You know what I mean? I'm a fighter. I want to fight. I'll do it outside right now if it'll get me closer to my goal. And so ideally, yes, in front of a packed 3 arena. But if it has to be behind closed doors, so be it. You know what I mean?
Would you rather almost fight not in Dublin if it was behind closed doors?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, well, you probably hear the lads outside anyway, you know what I mean? So, but look, it is. It make no sense.
Don't waste the 3 arena Bellator on a no audience show. Don't waste the 3 arena. Go somewhere else for that, and then once you're back in action, give us the 3 arena.
Yeah, it'd be a weird one, but obviously there'd be no point putting like booking the 3 arena for 0 attendance, But it'd be I'd like to be in that position where you're fighting someone and you've no noise, only cornermen. I think that's kind of cool. The whole Japan feel off it would be nice.
Exactly. But
what's your take, Brian, on Dana White Fight Island?
I haven't really been following it too closely, to be perfectly honest.
Okay, well, he's building an island to host the fights on sometime in May. Would you like Scott Coker took it to Island Hawaii and was like, right, here we go?
That'd be cool, all right. But look at it. With everything that's going on right now and everything is so new, I think to err on the side of precaution is number one. Like, I don't know, does the Fight Island do worse to this fucking pandemic? Obviously, when the last UFC card that got cancelled, that postponed, that one that was meant to be on the Tony Khabib. I'd lie to you if I wasn't going to say that I was going to tune in for it. I couldn't wait for it. We're all starved for MMA right now, but I'm sure it does more damage than good.
Exactly. Brian, just before we wrap things up, I just want to say thanks a million for coming on the show, and we definitely have to do this again in the build-up to your next fight because it's going to be something to look forward to. Ross, anything else to say before we wrap it up?
No, guys, just make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always,
stay energized.